Welcome everyone to the New South Wales Plastic Free Solutions Showcase. And it is being held today as a partner between the Plastic Free Foundation and Plastic Free July and the New South Wales EPA. If you have come for the liquid biopsy convention, you are in the wrong room. We won't be talking about macrophages or cancer today, but it is something as insidious and is something as important in my opinion. I would like to acknowledge that we are on the land of the Gadigal people in the Eora Nation today, one of 29 clans within the Eora Nation, and we pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. And I'd like to acknowledge anyone of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander heritage who's here joining us today, or indeed online. Hi everyone online. We're still doing online. I'm here for it. I think it's a pretty miserable day out there today in Sydney. But my name is Jo Taranto and I'm very passionate, as you all are, about sustainability and about transforming our relationship with plastic. And it is my pleasure to be your host today and introduce you to so many amazing people who are doing fantastic things and really showing us the solutions that will help us navigate our way out of the situation we have found ourselves in. For our in-person attendees, we've got a few extra instructions for you today. If you're online, you can sit back and relax for the next 40 minutes, listen to our wonderful speakers, and then go off and do whatever you're going to do next. But for the last 11 years, Plastic Free July has been all about starting where you are and tackling what you can, and always focusing on solutions and not problems. And we know that this year marks a particularly exciting year for everyone in this space, because we know that we have significant legislation that has marked a new change for single-use plastic in New South Wales. It's a bit of a race to see who can be the best state, in my opinion, but good to see New South Wales is in there with a chance. Unlike this state of origin, still hurts. We know that there are so many opportunities for change, and when transitioning this, it's often a lot more about just what's being legislated. So today is about more than just the items that are in the plastic ban, and you'll be hearing a lot of solutions which you think, wow, I didn't even know that was a thing. So it's really exciting to see, and that's always been I think the journey of Plastic Free July is looking at all of the areas that we can transition, not just the things that we've come to expect when we talk about single-use plastics. Again, today is deliberately focused on solutions. We know we often focus a lot on problems and the situation we're in, but we know that there are a huge amount of solutions across industry, government, schools, small business, community. And we know that no matter what the setting, that the challenge is not so much doing it, but getting other people to do it with us. So today we're talking a lot about how we engage, how we inspire, and how we get buy-in from the communities and the people within our organisations. So today is 2 hours, but as I said online, 40 minutes of your best time this morning. And we will be giving you some really short, sharp solutions focused on the lessons and the learnings that we can all take away. If you are in the building, the loos and the evacuation route, if there is an unlikely emergency, are down to the right. And we will be a break after our morning session to network, have something to eat, and enjoy some plastic-free treats. And to set the tone today, we're going to watch a little video to get us thinking about what this transition means in New South Wales from the 1st of November and beyond. We're going to be hearing from Take 3 for the Sea, one of our other 2022 New South Wales EPA sustainability partners, of which Plastic Free July is also. Many of you will know Take 3 for the Sea. They've been a dedicated not-for-profit really addressing the plastic crisis and ocean pollution for a long time, and looking at the simplest things that we can do to raise awareness. And that is to take 3 items from the beach or the waterway or wherever you are, if you see them, all about influencing public opinion, getting people to understand the mismanagement and the overuse of plastics. And so they've produced this short video that we're going to see today in collaboration with the EPA. to spread the word about the single-use plastic bans that are coming. Now, these videos will be distributed for local councils, people in hospitality, retail, and also across cafes, restaurants and takeaway businesses across social media. And Janet, I believe, is here. Is she here? Yes, there she is. Hello. So you can go and talk to Janet and ask her how you can be part of this campaign and get that word out to our friends, partners, and anyone else who hasn't quite got the memo yet. Oh, we lost some audio. I'll come back.
I'm a chef. I'm a grandmother. I'm a dog lover. I'm a mum.
I'm a member of this community.
We have best designers.
The time has come for change in New South Wales hospitality industry. From November 1st, certain single-use plastic items will join lightweight shopping bags in being banned in New South Wales. There are many business owners just like you who have already made these changes.
We have already replaced all the single-use plastic bags. I use all the packaging stuff. I use the plastic bags. We have replaced all these plastic trays with a food grade carton box.
We encourage our customers to bring their own containers. Therefore, no new packaging is required.
It is a concern that cost is going to play a part in this. In our experience, as long as you're able to tell your story and be open and transparent and let people know why you're making the decisions you're making, people will be there to back you up.
So you're going to get extra customers because you are ethical. The advantages outweigh the costs.
In reality, we're already paying for that. We're paying for it with our planet and marine life and dirty oceans and climate change.
It might sound like a little bit more expensive or difficult, but it's really not. This is actually not as hard as you think.
If they do research and check around prices and stuff, they'll find that it's not going to be any year up. There's plenty of companies out there that are really competitive with their prices.
You know, we're a small player, but we're doing our small part. Whether you're a small community coffee shop like us, or whether you're a large chain, everybody in the hospitality industry has a responsibility to do their little piece.
We know what's happening. We know the facts. We know that we need to do something. It's not that hard. It's not that expensive. We've been doing it for a while. More and more businesses are doing it, and people are asking for it already. We get people coming to us because we do this.
The market wants to spend their money at ethical businesses.
I stopped using single-use plastic 4 years ago, and I think everyone should do it.
Well done, take 3. I think we give them a little round of applause. As you can see, very positive messaging, very inclusive messaging, and really an invitation to take up the opportunity like so many of the businesses that are featured. It's now my pleasure to welcome someone who many of us know or know of, and that is Rebecca Prince-Royce, the founder and executive director of the Plastic Free Foundation. Rebecca founded the Plastic Free July campaign in West Australia in 2011, and we certainly know that it has been a bit of a global phenomenon since that time. It's empowered over 140 million people across 190 countries, which not many people can say they have done in their lifetime, to join a community and commit to choosing to refuse single use in their lives in whatever way that they decide to commit. She's now the executive director of the Plastic Free Foundation and delivers an annual challenge, which I'm sure most of us have participated in at least once and hopefully will continue to really encourage us to look at a vision of a plastic-free world, or a world certainly without plastic waste. I've been informed that Rebecca has recently got off a long-haul flight, but is as shiny and bright and sparkling as ever. Please welcome Rebecca Prince-Royce.
I'll do my best. Look, thanks very much, everybody, for coming. When Helen and I were discussing with the EPA our vision for this event, it was bringing together a really wide group of people who have been active in this space and sharing ideas and sharing solutions. And we know that is what behaviour change is about. And I'm really excited to say that I feel like we can already tick off that KPI because two of our speakers have already connected around a solution. I think this is it's a global problem, plastic pollution and plastic waste, and we certainly don't have all of the answers, but I think together we've got a lot of ideas, and I'm really excited to hear some stories. I know some of your amazing stories, but look forward to hearing more today and looking forward to how we can collaborate, because there's no single silver bullet to this problem, and it is going to take action from all of us. And the changes that I've seen does give me hope. So hot off the press, I've actually got, when I landed this morning, from our behavioural economists, some results from our research that we did in September about participation in Plastic Free July, as well as the impacts. I just want to give you a quick good news story, and that is that this year 3.5 million Australians took part, and 900,000 people from New South Wales. So it's an issue that resonates with people. 92% of people in New South Wales have said that they think plastic pollution in the oceans is a big problem. They want to be part of the solution, and 90% of people want business and government to act. And people are already making changes in their own lives. And now with these single-use plastic bag, the single-use plastic bag ban, and then the other items that are going to be implemented next month, it's a really great opportunity to take our action to the next level. I think single-use plastic bans are a great place to start. It's not a good place to stop, because there's always more that we can do, and it is a journey. So wherever you are on the journey, this material is something we all encounter every day. And I feel like there's always something more that we can do. Further to what you were saying, Joe, about being a really exciting year for action in this state, it's a really, really important moment globally. So I've just spent the last couple of days in Amsterdam with the world's biggest brands talking about the future of plastics and packaging. And it was the likes of Nestle and Unilever and Mars, and it is so great to see brands committed to change. They need to, because they're responsible for a lot of the plastic waste that is in our planet. And the feedback that I was hearing from brands was they're doing it because their customers are demanding it. And they're doing it because their employees are wanting change. And I'm really excited to be hearing from, we're hearing from Lyndall, from DPI Fisheries later on this morning about how they've got their staff engaged. And I'm sure Danny from Brookfields will mention that too. The other reason I think it's really important is that on the 2nd of March this year at the United Nations Environment Assembly, UN member states unanimously agreed to develop a global plastics treaty to end plastic pollution. The federal government came out last week saying they want to be leaders on this. So the global plastics treaty will be negotiated over the next 2 years. And I really think the changes that we're making in our own spheres of influence, in our communities and our businesses and our organisations, what we're doing at a state government level is really forming those building blocks. And if our government wants to show leadership, the action starts with us. So thank you all for coming. I'm really looking forward to listening, to learning, to sharing ideas and problem solving. And I think there's so much knowledge and enthusiasm in this room. So thank you.
Phenomenal numbers, Rebecca. I wonder if you ever get sort of number fatigue and it becomes just like, oh, another million here, couple more million here. 40 to 400. Yeah, it gets to the point, you add another zero, you're like, is that good? So it's good. I'm telling you, it's good. Thank you so much, Rebecca. My next speaker is Divya Patel, the lead plastics implementation manager, person, officer, all of them. Yeah, all of it. She'll take all of them. Excellent. For the New South Wales EPA. Now, Divya is the only person who's been allowed to have slides today. So this tells you the gravitas and the magnitude of what she's about to present to you. The only person we have allowed to present information, and that is because it's important stuff, but also because we're really grateful to have Divya with us. Divya's been charged with the focus of implementing the New South Wales Plastics Action Plan and the associated legislation. No biggie, no biggie. But we're really excited to hear her thoughts and incredibly grateful to have her here with us today. Please welcome Divya.
No pressure with the slides then. I just want to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners on the lands that we gather on today, whether we're online or here, and to acknowledge my respect, deep and enduring respect for all their care for country over many, many, many years, and acknowledge that respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people with us today. I also want to thank the Plastic Free Foundation, Rebecca and the whole team, and everyone here today who is working in the world of reducing our plastic footprint. It's a real honour to be in a room full of people doing amazing things, and as government, really our job is to get the ball rolling and hopefully get out of the way and let people do what they need to do. I've got some fantastic people from the EPA here today who we would love, we'd love to engage with you and talk to you more broadly on not just these bans, but what's next. So really looking forward to meeting everyone and having that broader discussion. Now I have to get on to apparently the world's best slides. There's reasons why we're doing these bans, and I don't need to go into them in detail with everyone here today because I think we're all on the same page as to the importance of what we're doing. But certainly in New South Wales, 60% of our packaging and litter comes from plastic and single-use items, and these bans will hopefully eliminate 2.7 billion items from entering our natural environment and waterways over the next 20 years. So no small feat in terms of why we're doing what we're doing. We know that the recycling of plastics globally as well as nationally is not as high as we'd like it to be, so it's about 10% here in New South Wales, and we obviously have very strong targets and are very keen to move that up as quickly as we can. I'm really happy that our legislation, for any legislation nerds out there, but is not just about plastic reduction, but it's also about circular economy. So the Prc Act was introduced in November last year, and it is a comprehensive piece of legislation that talks across the life cycle of plastic. So it's not just about we're going to ban these things by this date. It has powers to set design standards for products that are produced. It has a product stewardship element as well. So really looking at the whole life cycle of plastics and materials and packaging. So very exciting when that came through for us last year. In terms of what's being banned, lightweight plastic bags, as many of you know, were banned in June this year, and then we have a whole range of other items coming in about 2 and a bit weeks. So I hope, well, I know everyone here is prepared, but I hope we can get all our communities and our stakeholders prepared as well. So we've got straws, stirrers, cutlery, plates and bowls, expanded polystyrene foodware, cotton buds, and plastic microbeads in rinse-off products. So, just a couple of things. We also have exemptions, and that's pretty critical for me to talk you through. So I do want to say that, exemptions are important for certain parts of our community. So certainly single-use plastic straws, they can continue to be used and supplied for anyone with a disability or medical need, carers, or anyone that cares for anyone that requires them. We have also granted a temporary 2-year exemption for plastic-lined plates and bowls. This is more about food safety than anything else, so we're waiting for more sustainable alternatives in the transportation of hot liquids, for example. So That's the reason we've got that. And in issuing that exemption, it was really great to speak to people involved in the suppliers of packaging in this space who have said, oh, look, we are looking at R&D in this space. We are looking at innovation. And that's why it's a time-limited exemption. And we're looking forward to seeing much more sustainable alternatives in the market in the next couple of years. Cotton buds and plastic bowls, and obviously your COVID swabs are exempt for anyone working in the medical and scientific and research fields as well. So, and there will likely be another exemption for cutlery in vulnerable settings. So that'll come through hopefully in the next couple of weeks as well. So I think it's important to acknowledge that there is an important role for some of these items for certain communities. And while we want to move away from them generally, it's important to know that there are exemptions out there as well. The ban applies to any supplier of a plastic item, and it's a pretty broad definition. So manufacturers, producers, suppliers, but even your community groups, educational settings, things like school canteens, NGOs, sporting clubs. So just keep in mind if you're involved in any of these activities, whether in or outside of the workplace, the ban does apply and does extend to those groups as well. This is to really stem that flow from source as much as we can. We have seen sort of patchy implementation of things in the past where, you know, it's okay for one organisation but not okay for another, and actually just makes things more confusing. So you really want something comprehensive that's about behaviour change for the whole community to move at once. So that's what I wanted to really emphasise today as well. So it's about selling and resupplying. It's about receiving or possessing, offering to supply, including for free or advertising through websites. And displaying or making the items available. So those are sort of, that's the coverage of supply as set out in the legislation. And of course, we've got the false and misleading information in there as well. I don't think that's unusual, but particularly in a world where we're looking at things being labelled as things they shouldn't be as well, which is a whole other issue of greenwashing to think about. I think it's really critical that we are talking about people supplying the right things and supplying what is allowed at the right time. The EPA has a very clear regulatory policy and strategy. This is all available on our website, and I won't, you know, it's the world's best slide, so I won't labour it too much today. But we have sort of an 8-pronged approach, and our team is actually responsible for compliance, and they've already been out to hundreds and hundreds of organisations and business directly and indirectly and engaged with them quite a bit on anything to do with concerns around compliance and enforcement. Come 1 November, that'll be the biggest question we get asked, and understandably as well. We've always taken an education first approach because we see this as a behaviour change opportunity really for the whole community. So for us, it's about using all of those tools, educate, listen, influence, but it's also very much about what can you do with what you have and by when, and how can we come back and talk to you about what's relevant. So that's the focus we will continue to take as we approach 1 November and beyond. It was fantastic to see the Take 3 video earlier. It was really inspiring. And we know that when we are out and about talking to people at site visits, there are so many people going, I'm ready to do this. I probably need a bit of help. And to go in and focus on enforcement first wouldn't be the right way to get people on board. So the public awareness campaign, Stop It and Swap It, went live in early September, and we've sent stakeholder packs to many of you in the room here today with all of the tiles and the videos and various things. So hoping you'll share that very broadly, especially with the bans coming up. So the next 2 weeks are really critical. If you need that information, I've got it with me. So come and see me. Very happy to provide that to you. Also happy to come and talk to any groups of people online or in person. We've got a fantastic team who are really happy to engage with you and even listen to any concerns you might have, or to come and show up at any events you might have happening. Some resources. So we've partnered with the National Retail Association, and they, along with us, have produced a whole bunch of resources in different languages, and there's different ways in which we're engaging with businesses and community organisations. So there's a toll-free number there. There's online sessions as well. Every Friday at 10, online sessions are available for anyone that wants to jump in, ask questions or understand the impacts for themselves, and a whole bunch of resources on our plastics website that are in different languages and accessible, posters as well. And there's some materials at the front as well if you want to go and have a look today as to what's available. So here's some ways you can help. Please spread the word as much as you can. participate or engage others, to encourage others to join our webinars. I think everyone here is, we're preaching to the converted with everyone in here, and I'm really grateful for your support in New South Wales as we take this really big transition. We couldn't do it without you. Our sustainability partners and our broader partners in community are essential to make any of this happen or successful. And we look forward to working with you more broadly today and on to the next tranche of bans as well as we move forward. We're here and the team's here if you have any questions later on. Thank you very much.
I'm glad you had slides, Divya. I think there was too much to go with that. Our next and our first presenter of the solutions that we're really excited to be looking at today is coming to us from a university. No single-use issues at universities, I hear. So it's my pleasure to welcome Arifa Safraz, who's the Environmental Sustainability Manager at UNSW. And they've got 60,000 students, around 7,000 staff, and that is not them. And the University of New South Wales is obviously a very influential research and educational institution and very well known. So the fact that Plastic Free July is a permanent fixture on their calendar is exciting. It offers a platform for people to initiate innovative and try new plastic reduction measures. And this July, the university ran a single-use free pledge campaign, and the results have exceeded expectations, which we're excited to hear about. So please welcome Arifa Safraz from UNSW.
Nervous spot to be the first. Thank you so much, Rebecca, UTS and other partners to give us this opportunity to come here together. I've been working with many of you online in the past, especially in the past 2 years or so, but only now I know how tall Divya is. Until unless we meet together, you don't even, I look forward to actually having a chat in person today. As you heard that Plastic Free July is one of those regular engagement events for us. And we know that because students and staff, they get the similar kind of messages from community at the same time, this month is really good for us in starting and doing any behavior change campaigns. And we try always to make the most of it. So for the past few years, we target our more specific programs and we leave it for July because we know that people are receptive. So in 2020, we actually launched our plastic-free dining program. And that program was, had 3 main key aspects to it. To eliminate single-use plastics from our dining services, including retail, hospitality partners, and residential colleges. We were aiming to maximize reuse and then set up collection systems for our waste, so we can actually maximize the recovery of materials on our campus as well. Of course, it was 2020 when we launched. We didn't plan for COVID. So COVID did try to disrupt our plan, and despite the disruption it caused, we did quite a lot of progress. So we reached 80% compliance in 2 years for the single-use plastic, replaced it with compostable. That's about 2.5 million single-use items replaced by compostable or reusable. We did set up collection systems on our campus for both outdoor and indoor areas with food and compostable CDS containers collected separately to maximize recovery. So we sort of beat a bit or give a good fight to COVID impact. But one area where COVID really disrupted and set us away from our targets was reuse. So at certain point last years, we even had to ban single-use containers, cups from our retail because of the safety purposes. So this year, we tried to focus on reusable cups. And the campaign that we launched was a pledge we started with an online pledge and asked students and staff members to take a pledge to support reuse on campus. To encourage them, we had 2,000 Husky cups. So we partnered with Husky Cup, gave away for the giveaway. So if you just to encourage and entice them, 2,000 cups. And we know that there is still a bit of anxiety from retailers when it comes to single-use cups and, you know, used cups, handling them. There was still a bit of anxiety to encourage retailers and their support. We added 2,000 more coffee vouchers. So we want to encourage our students who are in their own simple cohorts and encourage them to come from their rooms and working online and come on campus, engage and claim their cups, take a pledge and feel that this issue with the reusable cups is gone with, hopefully, or is going with COVID as well. And then to encourage and kickstart the campaign and to encourage people to come and collect the cups, the first 10 were to claim Rebecca's plastic-free book as well. So if they come, they will get that book as well. So this is all good. We started with the campaign, but just to understand and looking at the reaction from other campaigns in recent years, we realized that it will be a very big challenge to get engagement and attention from our students. Many of them don't come to campus anymore as much as we want to see them on campus. And that's where the social media thing came in. I'm sure we are all aware, most of us will have Facebook accounts and most of us will go on Twitter as well. But how many of you have a TikTok account? Oh, you champion. I've got one as well. You won't be able to find me though. I'm hiding it really well. So it's funny how when we started building the momentum on TikTok, on Instagram, and give them something to do with quiz and engagement videos, and then came with a online accessible pledge. There were QR codes on the retail outlet so people can scan and take the pledge. Screens and other areas with all the information about pledge and what they can do. We ended up with 3,000 people taking the pledge. The copies of Rebecca's books were picked up in the first hour of the campaign. In the first 10 days, all 2,000 cups and coffee vouchers were gone. Even then, the reason I'm sharing this story with you, even then people kept going with the pledge. So we ended up with more than 3,000 pledges. So I believe and agree with the people before me that engagement is one of those, and lovely information from Take 3 as well. Engagement, if we do it right, there is will and there is support available from people, and people do want to take action. We just need to find the right avenues. If you want to know any more about it, I can talk about it all day. Yeah.
All right, speakers, it's brief, it's swift, it's brutal when I hold up that sign, and I do apologize. I think the question, Arifa, is not so much who has a TikTok account, but who has one and is prepared to admit that they have one, because there would have been a few. Yeah, there's a few more of those boomers in the room. That's fine. Thank you so much, Arifa. I think we're going to hear some big numbers today, but so far, behind Rebecca's obviously unbeatable numbers, 2.5 million items, plastic items avoided is pretty epic. So challenges on. I know Brookfield's got some pretty big numbers, but you know, so they should. Watching you, Danny. All right, our next speaker is Sandra Barham, and she's coming to us from a smaller but no less significant organisation, from Brew Cafe in North Bondi. They're a hole-in-the-wall takeaway community cafe based at Ben Buckler, and for the last 3 years they've been building a mug library with mugs sourced via donation and from Vinnie's. And since the 1st of July this year, they are the only cafe pledge. I think we can verify this in a second. In the eastern suburbs, that is 100% single-use cup free. That's pretty epic. Extremely proud of what they've been able to achieve. You won't meet a bigger advocate than Sandra. Please welcome Sandra Barham.
Hello. I think something that was just said then for us that really changed, because we are a takeaway cafe, is once we changed the wording actually, or the language from would you like a takeaway cup or one of our mugs, we changed that about 3 or 4 months ago now to would you like a single-use cup or would you like one of our mugs? And it's amazing how many people sat there going, it's just that I need to go for a while. It's like, yeah, no, that's fine. You can have a single-use cup or you can have one of our mugs. And it was just amazing, but I had to say that. So yeah, so we are just a takeaway cafe. And it absolutely did my head in. And that's our DA with council, so I can't really change that. So that really did my head in. So the first thing that I made a very quick change was made sure that we had compostable cups and compostable lids. Still did my head in. I just couldn't bear those cups walking out. So I made a change, and in about 3 or 4 years ago, I bought my first cup library mug from Alice Springs and brought it back to Sydney. And that was pretty much the first one that I bought and pretty much the last one, except for the cups that we get donated from Vinnie's, but obviously we give a donation and they only ask for $15, but I never give them $15. And the rest have all been donated by all of our customers. So late last year, we did a BYO Cup Week in Bondi where we engaged with roughly about 20 cafes to join in the mug library or just ditching the single-use cup. And that went really well, and we actually called it Bondi Says Fuck the Cup. And other lovely suburbs joined in. There was Thurrool, there was Manly, there was Avalon, there was Leichhardt, and it was amazing and huge numbers. And that really got me starting to think about how to get rid of the cup completely. So I thought, good time as any, 1st of July, plastic-free July, we're doing it. And I don't know how many of you guys, you know, are in hospitality here, but July was coming up and every man, child, dog, cat was going to Europe. The weather, or Israel, Europe. That's all we got. And not just that, but the weather was just horrible. And I really did think about maybe not doing it or postponing it for a little bit. And one of our customers actually said to me, Sondi, that's what everyone calls me, Sondi, just remember, fortune favours the brave. And I thought, fuck it, I'm doing it. So we did it. And since the 1st of July this year, we have not had one single-use cup walk out the door. We just got rid of them pretty much. And to be honest, it really is about communicating. It's been 3 to 4 years of just saying to people, would you like one of our cups or would you like a single-use cup? And it's just been constant. And the whole time leading up to the 1st of July, it was exactly the same. So before I get told to leave, just so you've got some idea of numbers, and I'm just going to do one number. But so as I said, it was July, winter, worst month of the year, rain was horrible. So these are really small numbers for us actually. And we are just one hole in the wall and we're tiny, we really are. So in July alone, we did 7,600 coffees. Normally that would be over 10,000. So yeah, just think of that. So 7,600 no single-use cups. And I multiplied that by 12 just for us. And that was 91,200 cups just in our little cafe. So think about, I don't know, 50, 60 cafes in Bondi. Then I started in my mind going, and then if you go outside of Bondi, go to, Northern Beaches, then you go to, Parramatta, then you think of New South Wales, then you think of Queensland, then you think of New York, and then LA, and then it's it's just crazy. So we've done it, and we're a takeaway cafe. We've got extra customers now coming to see us because we are using no single-use cups. So we've done it. So if we can do it, I just say anyone can do it. So our next thing to do is our smoothie cups. Our smoothie cups are compostable cups, but that's probably our next project, and we'll try and do that for the 1st of November, hopefully. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Never been a more Bondi presentation. She swore twice. It was so hot. I loved it. Amazing and really epic numbers. It shows you the power of that cumulative impact. And yeah, I think you might feel small, Sondi, but I think we think you're pretty massive in this space. So yeah, it's great to see that change. More change ahead. I'm really excited to welcome another end of the spectrum and a different organisation altogether. But with me next is Lyndall Hiller from Fisheries. And, you know, Fisheries is a state government organisation. So you might think, oh, they've got all this sorted and they're under control. But they've certainly been on their own journey to look at how they can make small steps to make a difference internally. So the Department of Primary Industries and Fisheries branch manages the sustainable access to all aquatic resources in New South Wales. They have 600 staff that this year were asked to contribute their ideas about what they could do for Plastic Free July. And Lyndall's going to tell us a little bit about the resulting initiative and what Fisheries has actually been doing in regards to procurement and also their venues and catering. So please welcome Lyndall.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. It's really good to be in the same room as with like-minded people with such a great energy for positive change. I work for the New South Wales Department of Primary Industries in the Fisheries branch. As mentioned, we manage sustainable access to aquatic resources through commercial, cultural and recreational fisheries management. We look at research, aquatic aquaculture development, habitat protection and rehabilitation, regulation and compliance. So, plastic free. Well, I'll start with the who. Last year, we were fortunate to have Rebecca and Joanna Athfold-Finn speak to our teams about their book, Plastic Free, The Inspiring Story of a Global Environmental Movement and Why It Matters. This was the start of the conversation. It was a chance to get ideas. The discussion was inspiring and it helped us all have a good hard think about the small steps we can take to help. We were encouraged by the fact that we can all play a part towards reducing plastic in our workplace environment. So how do we get people involved? How do we make these small but really important changes? Firstly, a working group was established across Fisheries to examine plastic-free initiatives. Secondly, we called for ideas. We have around 600 people across Fisheries across the state in various parts of New South Wales, coastal and inland. So we just wanted to harness their ideas. As you all might have seen during COVID, there was definitely challenges to working in COVID environments, but the way to connect through Teams and through other mediums was quite powerful when you have people dispersed a long way away. So we called for ideas. We asked them to come up with, a top 5 ideas that we could as an organisation. So what were the ideas? Well, one of the great suggestions from our staff was to provide reusable stainless steel water bottles to our fish care volunteers to be used at events. So we have around 270 fish care volunteers who talk to fishers about rules, regulations, responsible fishing, and help in a range of activities such as workshops, surveys, school excursions, and community fishing events. They're funded by our Recreational Fishing Trust, and it's one of the most successful volunteer programs in New South Wales. We also had a suggestion to provide the water bottles not only to our fish care volunteers, but all fishery staff across New South Wales. So it could be used in the office, when travelling to events, every day. So that's what we did. So we provided the water bottles, which I have with me today, but it's just there. And it features specially designed artwork of our state's fish, the blue groper. The groper was designed by an Aboriginal artist through the National Aboriginal Design Agency, and her name is Jude Jarrett. So the water bottles themselves are just a very small step, once I mentioned, but it's a practical and constant reminder to encourage everyone across fisheries to reduce our use of plastics. Another suggestion from the team was to reduce our plastic when we're procuring for meetings, when catering, or when we have teams attend venues. So in the vast majority of cases, we don't actually need plastic cups, cutlery or single-use water bottles. In fact, all of our offices have reusable cutlery, glasses, and even dishwashers. So where possible, we now ask caterers to avoid plastic, or instead we provide our own reusable utensils. It sounds really simple, doesn't it? But these are the small steps, as I mentioned. And just briefly, I'd like to mention about two other key initiatives we're working across fisheries. One is reducing microplastics. So our fisheries researchers in Port Stephens are involved in projects investigating the impacts of microplastics on seafood in collaboration with the University of Newcastle. So these projects are investigating the transfer of microplastics through the food chain, the impact of microplastics on how they behave in aquatic environments, and what pollutants and microorganisms become associated with microplastics, and how importantly this could affect our aquatic animals. So that's just one project on the side that our researchers are working at. Another project or initiative, which is a really positive initiative, which I just wanted to mention, is our Lobster tagging program. So in New South Wales, all commercially caught eastern rock lobsters are required to be individually tagged to support our quota management program, compliance, traceability, and accuracy of fish assessment data. I'm really pleased to say that following industry trials, we had an order of approximately 250,000 tags for the 2021-22 season. They all included a biodegradable additive. So they meet certification standards. They're fully recyclable and will also compost in the event they make their way to landfill. So biodegradability does come at a cost. However, this is recovered from industry through the lobster management charge, and it's now a standard inclusion achieved with the strong support of the New South Wales Lobster Industry Working Group. So, in conclusion, across fisheries, we have found it's often the little things, the small changes that we all can make together that can lead to a really big difference. Thank you.
You know, things are really changing in government when they establish a working group. That's my favourite moment. You're like, yeah, stuff's going to happen now. Thank you, Lyndall. It's really fantastic to see your staff walking the walk. You know, they're really, there's no closer to the front line than people who are dealing directly with our waterways and fisheries as well. Our next solutions game changer person who has going to give us all the answers is Danny de Souza. Danny's coming to us from Brookfield Properties. They develop and operate real estate investments on behalf of the Brookfield Asset Management, one of the largest alternative asset managers in the world. They manage office and retail. They have logistics, build to rent, hospitality development. And Brookfield work across all sectors. They have buildings that you would have been in, that you would visit all around the world. And Danny is joining us today because it's his job to help them live their ESG values, and also he's also responsible for innovation. So last year, or sorry, not last year, but Yeah, was it last year actually, Danny, I think. Brookfield developed the Breaking the Plastic Habit program, and they've been able to achieve a huge amount, which Danny's going to tell us all about. Please welcome Danny de Souza, the Vice President of ESG and Innovation from Brookfield Properties.
Thanks, Joe. And I know you're being a very tough timekeeper, so I will do my best to keep this to 5 minutes. So good morning, everyone. It's fantastic to see so many people here. And I guess hello to everybody out there online as well. My name's Danny de Souza. I'm the Vice President of ESG and Innovation at Brookfield Properties. And firstly, I wish to acknowledge the Gadigal people as the traditional custodians on the land of which we meet. I pay my respects to their elders past, present, and recognise their continuing connection to the land, sea and sky. So I'm fortunate to work for a company that's really passionate about sustainability, and it's embedded in our DNA. Each day we make decisions that improve how we operate, reduce our environmental footprint, and advocate for better. That commitment comes through our continued recognition in global benchmarks for ESG performance, including GRESB, the environmental performance of our buildings globally, and the ongoing advocacy and promotion we undertake through marketing and placemaking activities. Our involvement with the Plastic Free Foundation is a continuation of that commitment and reflects our own journey and to reduce our reliance on single-use plastic. As Joe mentioned, last year, we unveiled our Breaking the Plastic Habit program, which is an initiative underway here across our Australian portfolio and now starting to make its way to other regions within our business around the world. And that program commits us to where we can to avoid, remove or replace single-use plastics from our supply chain. It's also a program that commits us to encourage others to join us on that journey. Since launching the program at the beginning of 2021, we have identified, removed, replaced or avoided more than 25 single-use plastic items from our own corporate offices across Australia. Annualising those numbers sees us avoiding about 100,000 items of single-use plastic per year. We removed and replaced items such as bin liners, umbrella bags for wet umbrellas, sign-in stickers, the packaging that comes with our bathroom consumables, the single-serve sachets for our peanut butter, butter and jam in our kitchens, single-serve cookies and snack packs in our kitchens, and plastic water bottles. For example, our single-serve peanut butter, Vegemite and jam packets are now available in glass jars to our employees, and our front-of-house catering team avoid single-use plastics in their supply chain by simply requesting catering not be delivered in single-use plastic. Other little things that we've implemented, such as the treats we serve and biscuits with coffee and tea within our offices, are now delivered to us, not wrapped in plastic. So it's a very simple change. We've also taken what started off as a pilot program to remove single-use plastics from the common areas of our properties nationally. And so the environmental savings, once we take that across the national portfolio, are staggering. And so whilst we're not probably the biggest number you'll hear today, we are at about 1.75 million pieces of plastic removed from our portfolio annually. And advocating for people to join us by offering incentives to recycle and also opportunities to avoid single-use plastic. So in some of our buildings, we've installed bottle refill stations, and they're just encouraging people to use reusable bottles to refill refill with water when they're going out to the gym or moving through the precinct. Avoiding plastic isn't always easy, and yes, we've made some mistakes, and we can sort of stand here comfortably and share some of those. But our journey is really a journey and not focused on the destination. So at one of our properties in Perth, we actually started off with a bang and replaced our bin liners with oxo-degradable bags, and we thought that was the right thing to do. We soon learned that oxo-degradable simply means they break down faster into smaller pieces of plastic. We've since turned away from those and replaced those with a biodegradable bag, and I think we just keep learning from our lessons, and we share that across our national portfolio. The partnership with Plastic Free Foundation has also been instrumental in making sure our program is seen and heard more broadly, and that the voices of others are also seen and heard. And that's why we partnered with Plastic Free July for their 2021 and 2022 program launches. We consider our program to break the plastic habit journey and not the destination. We're continually learning and growing, and our next challenge is the coffee cup. So we've looked through the bins at our Brookfield Place building in Sydney and found that our tenants and our own people really love a good takeaway coffee. And so we're looking to explore ways of breaking that specific habit. So within our buildings, across the portfolio, we've installed the Simply Cups coffee cup collection and recycling solution. But looking through those bins, we've found a couple of issues. And so the first is not everyone's conscientious around their decision-making around using coffee cups. And then the second one is we see a lot of contamination in those bins, which sees a lot of that going off to landfill rather than being recycled. And so we're now on this journey of looking for solutions, and some of those are potentially in the room here today, which will see us look to change that habit and break that habit and look at how we might be able to deploy a reusable, washable and returnable cup. And that's just changing behaviour of users within our buildings. And so we're endlessly inspired by the actions of the Plastic Free Foundation and Rebecca and the team and the grassroots movement it's created. And as a corporate leader, we can only hope to similarly inspire others to join the war on waste. Finally, we're delighted to see governments across Australia and around the world join the fight to legislate against single-use plastics. And I'll leave it with that.
I swear I will take a risk at some point and do some kind of maneuver off the edge, but I think I'll save it to the end. Oh, not at all. Thank you so much, Danny. And there were some big numbers in there. He did kind of downplay it a bit, and maybe I kind of took the shine out of it. You know, we did hear things, was it 1.75 million a year? That's pretty good. I'd be happy with that. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. It certainly shows the commitment, and I know that Brookfield will keep chipping away at some of those challenges, and not the only one who has bin contamination issues. Someone who knows more about that than most is Ray Baboudi. Ray is the Waste Education Officer at the Western Sydney Region of Councils, or WESROC, as it's affectionately known. They represent 12 local councils across Western Sydney region, and their job is to strengthen the provision of sustainable and affordable waste services, but also education programs across those councils. Now, Ray's been involved in many a engagement and education campaign that we'll be speaking to us today about the Green Caffeine Swap and Go Cup program that has been run across those council areas, and how she's been supporting those Western Sydney communities to embrace and engage the circular economy principles across the region and step away from, again, this issue we see with single-use coffee cups. So please welcome Ray.
I think I'm smaller than anyone else. Hello, everyone here and online. Nice to meet you here. I've been really impressed by all other talks, especially on coffee cups. As a very little pre-talk note, public speaking is not my favorite thing to do, but good to get out of comfort zone once in a while. So I will jump into our story, which is all about green caffeine. As you all know, we've got a coffee loving culture, and try to put together the calculation Sandy was doing. We send around 300 million coffee cups each year statewide to landfills. And in 2019, all Western Sydney waste educators got together. We used to meet in person at the time, not online, and we collectively agreed that coffee cups should be singled out as the priority target item. So in a very first stance, out of a consent of our council's Refill Don't Landfill campaign was born. The regional campaign was aiming at engaging the community and business owners in reducing their dependence on single-use coffee cups by providing an easy-to-use alternative, and also which is intensified by the power of social norm. So I need to look at my notes at the moment. After investigating several options, we partnered with Green Caffeine, a leading Australian startup, to activate a network of cafes region-wide across 7 Western Sydney councils. The system offers a free of charge reusable coffee cup system for cafes and customers, and distribute reusable, recycled, and more importantly, Australian-made coffee cups. And this borrowing and returning scheme resembles a real regional library that targets a portion of community that they are keen and conscious for change, but they keep forgetting their reusable cups at home or in the car, like me, myself. So the program went live in February 2020, and we've got 2 successful launches at 2 participating councils, and we achieved a target of 6,000 single-use coffee cups being avoided. And the program continued to roll out and got momentum. And then COVID came unexpectedly. And we've got impacted heavily, and there's no secret to hide. Many cafes and customers feel overwhelmed with new health and safety guidelines. So few registered cafes decided to remain, few cafes entirely closed, struggling with the economic hardship. And the majority one decided to pause the program until the certainty returned to the hospitality sector. But in September 2021, program data revealed that more than 35 cafes decided to remain on board, and surprisingly, 36,000 cups have been avoided, single-use cups being avoided, which was a great figure for us. And more than 1,000 customers subscribed to the program. So data suggests that this Swap and Go initiative has engaged the community in a positively meaningful way. The project addressed a shared problem for key stakeholders, councils, cafes, and community members. Provided a practical solution for reducing single-use cups, and we believe the success of the program is due to the collaborative approach, the strong education and messaging, as well as offering a low barrier solution for a shared problem. And learnings. Where worked best? We realized that the program took more momentum in the local cafes with a stronger sense of place and pride. Second, act consistently, beware of diversity. In any regional program, including Swap and Go programs, you have to be cautious about councils' differences and needs, and you have to be ready to adapt yourself to diversity of different needs. Plan for the long run. We know that the program with similar nature would work best in the situation and in the environment which single-use coffee cups are being discouraged by the concrete network of regulations. And the final say, we know that single-use coffee cups, the plastic lined ones in particular, are on the EPA's phase-out wish list. And we hope that this wish would come through either sooner or later. Thank you very much.
As someone who doesn't enjoy public speaking, I think you do an amazing job, Ray. And I love that you got in your little wish list too. I think we'll just throw them out there. Who knows? You know, got a wish for the EPA or other? Just let's give it a go. Yeah, Rebecca's like, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Joe. Wonderful to hear. Big numbers, 300 million cups we heard there from Ray about New South Wales. Not a number we should be proud of, but that's okay. We're working on it. And someone who was also working on another really challenging area, as a mum, I can attest to this. Shireen Lagasse is coming to us from Plastic Nasties. Sounds really intriguing. Plastic Nasties is a canteen consulting company, school canteens full of nasties at my school, and she's working to transform school canteens by creating nutritious, plastic-free environments. She's been creating sustainable canteens by eliminating single-use plastic and as becoming as waste-free as possible. And Plastic Nasties has worked with 50 schools so far, 7 different councils, and I'm sure she'll be very busy after today working on her programs as she has been for the last 7 years. Please welcome Shireen.
Hello, thank you so much for having me today. Just to give you a little bit of a quick behind the scenes, how this started. I was a canteen manager about 8 years ago at a school in the Northern Beaches. And what I noticed every day is not only was the food atrocious that we were serving the children when I got there, is all the plastic that the food was being served in, and whether that was the packaging that was already being purchased or the packaging that the food and the drinks were coming in. So I asked the principal at that school if I could get rid of as much plastic and waste as I could, and he said, go for it. So we started with all the packaging. I've got rid of that and created reusable packaging that and cutlery, got rid of straws and got rid of all the food packaging that I could think of that wasn't recyclable. And currently at the school, they did not have any recycling programs at all. So that was another challenge, was to implement recycling programs. That was red bins, yellow bins, blue bins, everything. So after this happened and it became very sustainable, we got a lot of press and a lot of people interested in how I did it. So fast track to now, 8 years later, I have a consulting business that goes to schools all over New South Wales to help canteen managers and schools eliminate plastic, make better packaging choices and solutions, and help schools implement a recycling program if they don't have one. The goal with my program is obviously to leave every school with the least amount of plastic in that canteen and to hopefully implement reusables, whether that's reusable cutlery, containers, cups, anything like that. That is the goal. So Northern Beaches Council was the first council to notice what I was doing and wanted to do a program with me to go into schools and help them, because honestly, canteen managers are just that. They're canteen managers that they do not have a lot, and this isn't all of them, but they may not be aware of all the waste that they're putting out there and how to change that, and what packaging companies will give them the best solutions, which food, where to buy really great drinks that come in aluminum cans that we can return and earn, etc. So there's a lot of solutions I try to provide for them. So Northern Beaches Council and I got together. We chose 20 schools. They all sent in an EOI of their interest to be part of this program to help with better solutions in their canteen. And what I do is I go into the schools. I run through everything, as I mentioned, from all their packaging to their ice creams, to their chips, to all the food they may bring in from another company. And I give them a solution to make that packaging a better choice. Now, if there isn't one, I'll try to find one, but pretty much I can go into a school and change everything they have in there for a better solution for them that's environmentally better. And reusing is my #1 goal as opposed to recycling. So that's where we start. And a lot of times I come up with, it can be challenging because the school probably doesn't have a lot of resources in place. They may not have bins on the school grounds. They may not have environmental teams, green teams, eco warriors to help support the canteen. So again, I write this full report and I give it to them and I come up with solutions and we try to tackle each canteen one-on-one, which they're all very different. Schools are very different, communities are different, parents are different, principals are different. So it's been very exciting in the Northern Beaches Council program that we've done now for over 3 years. Obviously, we were set back with COVID. We've eliminated 400,000 pieces of plastic from landfill. I'm now working with 8 other councils, one here today, Hornsby. We've got 5 great schools running right now. And we're hoping to eliminate at the end of the year with my 6 other councils, 700 pieces of plastic ending up in landfill. And the beauty of that is not just eliminating the plastic, it's also giving them the knowledge and the resources to choose better packaging and better food products, and to help maybe with recollect using return and earn products with their cans, things like that. It's really challenging with schools because they do need a lot of support. And this is something I'm hoping to get with the DOE and maybe the EPA and other companies to help schools specifically with support to do this. I'm just one person and I can only do so many schools. So I would love to get some financial support for schools specifically, or just, kits that can help them start this program with me so they can remove as much plastic from the canteen as possible. So thank you so much for having me.
Amazing. It's such a challenging area to convince the canteen manager, who's already up against it, to be honest, at any school. Is that an eerie force that is, yes, it's the ghost of canteen managers. Trust me, I'm not about to say anything offensive, nothing but love for all the canteen managers. Thank you. Thank you, Shireen. Amazing to see, and I'm sure you're going to continue to be very busy. If not at my school, which I will be reaching out to you shortly. As all of our speakers today, we really want you to connect with them after the talk. There's so many connections that we can make, and really it is about solving the solutions. We've already heard from Danny, they've got huge buildings. They're looking to phase out single-use coffee cups. And Danny, I'd like to introduce you to Stephen and Patrick from Circle, who provide a reusable coffee cup system for large buildings. This is not a coincidence. Is it just one of you today? Oh, which one are you? This is the Patrick one. Excellent. Welcome, Patrick. I do apologise. We don't have Stephen here today. He's with the canteen managers outside, apparently. Thank you, Patrick. Patrick is a corporate coffee drinker. Does that mean you do it professionally? Because I think I should be a corporate coffee drinker. And Stephen has been the owner and operator of 7 cafes in Sydney, so kind of knows what he's doing there. And you started this together, is that right? Awesome. And it's obviously going well because he's not here. But we'll just assume that that's because he's super busy managing his cafes. So am I right in saying that Circle has helped divert 80,000 coffee cups so far from landfill, and that you are going to talk about how we can do this not just in a cafe, but large scale reuse systems? Awesome. Please welcome Patrick Manley.
Oh, perfect. This is Stephen. He's here. Stephen's here in spirit. So Stephen's my co-founder. He runs 7 cafes in Sydney CBD. He had someone calling in sick this morning, and the cafes are very busy serving lots of coffees in our reusable cups. So he sends his apologies he couldn't be here. So just before I dive into what this is and what this solution is, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. So I'm a lazy corporate coffee drinker, maybe more correctly so than a professional coffee drinker. I work in a big office building down the road in the Sydney CBD. And 2 years ago, I got so fed up with continuously forgetting my keep cup that I decided that we really needed to do something. And I rolled into Steve's cafe and we just got the conversation started. And we designed this in the midst of COVID, whilst the cafe wasn't very busy, and we had a lot of time to think about what it was that we needed in big office buildings. So I know a lot about big office buildings. I know very little about the suburbs and those other types of things. So the things I'm going to say today are very focused on the corporate environment. So in a big corporate environment, what you tend to see is a ginormous skyscraper with 30 floors and 2 very popular cafes at the bottom. Sometimes they'll have a cafe in the middle as well, which is great, but they'll have these cafes outside. Now, we know from the data when we go rooting through the bins in these office buildings and pull out 1,000 disposable cups a day, those disposable cups come from those cafes, which are 20 meters from the doors to the building. And Steve owns 7 of those cafes. And the one that he's in today is one of our primary cafes, which we launched with this building called 200 George Street, a Mervat building down the road. They've got, it's the EY Centre, you see EY written all over it. And we put our heads together and we've designed a system that's built around lazy coffee drinkers. Why do we think that works? Because when we go into a cafe, we get our coffee in the morning, we don't always remember our keep cups. And instead what we do is we put these reusable cups, these lovely double stainless steel walls reusable cups that are much better for the coffee, into the cafe. I come along to the cafe in the morning and say, hey, I'm from the building, I need my coffee in a Circle cup, please. Steve says, great, here you go, here's my coffee. once I go up into the office building and I've drunk it, I drop it into this, which is how I dropped it. It's just a repurposed bin, but the reason we built that is it makes it so much more convenient to collect the reusable cups in office buildings. And the convenience is king for corporate environments. People are lazy, like me. We forget our key cups, but we also would just leave these lying around the office. So we really need something that localizes, makes it as easy as possible. You can't miss that bright blue that's lit everywhere. And it's worked really well. We've rolled these out now to 2 massive buildings, there's 60 of them out at the moment. The one that's been in 200 jobs for 18 months. After they've been collected in here, we work with the office cleaners in the building to lift this component out, take it down via their current cleaning infrastructure into the loading dock or to a nearby partnering cafe where the cups are washed and then returned to the cafes. And so we try to keep these cups very tightly on site to make the circle as efficient as possible. What we're finding with a lot of big buildings is they don't always have the facilities, the resources, the know-how to operate some of those washing facilities. We expect in the next year we're going to need to create off-site washing facilities in and around the city. And this will drive like reuse at a ginormous scale. And so we're expecting to put a fleet of electric vehicles on the road that come and collect these from the participating offices, have them washed, redistributed back to the cafes. So let me just give you 2 case studies. 200 George Street, we've been there for 18 months and we've had 40,000 uses. For Plastic Free July, we work with a big investment bank, one with a black and white logo. We started with one of their office buildings and overnight we converted their cafe just to these cups. We put 600 of these cups in their cafe. By the end of July, they'd have 20,000 uses. And that's almost 20,000 disposable cups diverted from landfill because they were using, despite the cafe being in the building, they were using almost entirely disposable cups. We've since gone to launch 2 more of their buildings, and now they're on track to save, before the end of the year, about 40,000 cups as well. So we need to, there's an awful lot of work to do around how we standardize our products and the design to make it really easy for use, and also how we're going to work out the collection, the offsite washing and the redistribution back to the cafe. But we've got these initial group of buildings in Sydney CBD. We're going to expand them out over the next year. We're going to start partnering with buildings across Australia as well. We're already starting to establish washing facilities out in Perth because they have buildings there. This is really on top of their mind for them, thanks to the ban or the phase out of disposable cups at that stage. So yeah, really happy to be here. Let me know if you've got any more questions. Come and chat to me. I can talk for ages about my laziness around reusable cups. Thank you very much.
He might be a lazy coffee drinker, but I don't think he's a lazy human. I think there's a fairly entrepreneurial spirit there. Does your office know that your lazy coffee drinking may pull you away from your day job? That is, yes, good, excellent. All right, well, I'm sure they're on board. Fantastic, really exciting to see, and it is great to see solutions catered to very specific audiences. As we know, what applies in one place does not always work in even the same place up the road. So yeah, fantastic to see a corporate solution targeting the lazy. I love it. Next up, we have the lovely Brittany Hannock, who's coming to us from another council, this time from Hornsby Shire Council. She's the Waste Project Officer, and the Hornsby Waste team has been looking at a staff engagement initiative during Plastic Free July this year, asking their staff to sign pledges, providing reusable items and taking them on a journey themselves. So please welcome Brittany.
Hello, yes, I'm Brittany and I'm a Waste Project Officer at Hornsby Shire Council, also have on the screen Emma and Lisa, also waste project officers who worked on this project as well. I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation whose lands we meet on today. I would also like to acknowledge that Hornsby Shire Council operates on the land of the Darug and Guringai people, and I'd like to pay my respects to their cultures and elders, past, present and emerging, and also any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people here today or online. So the project that we did was a staff engagement initiative, and it was aimed at our council staff internally. We also do external community engagement digitally and through our website, but we really wanted to kind of start from within and change from the inside out. So we looked at common single-use plastic items, including coffee cups, plastic straws, and also water bottles. So you can see us holding those items up. We also had some bags too. So what we did was in the last days of June, so leading up to Plastic Free July, we visited the staff offices. Our waste team works out of our community recycling centre. So we have minimal engagement with the main council office and also our libraries. So we went in the last couple of days of June to talk to everyone about Plastic Free July and also provide reusable alternatives. So we had all of our little trays and taking them around, and visiting people in their offices was a really great way to start an informal conversation. So we offered people to sign the Plastic Free July pledge, and if they did sign the pledge, they could choose an item that they wanted to pledge to reuse. The coffee cups were really popular. Luckily in Hornsby, we're pretty good with not using single-use plastics in the office, but people getting takeaway coffees, that was a really great option, and lots of people were taking them home as well. The straws were also a really good option, and it was a really great way to talk about the upcoming plastic bans that are happening with the EPA, and a lot of our conversations centered around that as well. And it was just a good way to start talking about plastics issues in general. A lot of people had little sticky questions or asking about reusable shampoo and conditioner bars and other things that were able to kind of turn into a bigger conversation. And it was really great to see so many staff thinking and engaging on waste issues, particularly in departments that have had nothing to do with waste. They're not really thinking about this that much. So it went pretty well. We had over 70 staff sign up and sign the pledge. We were struggling a little bit with COVID as we're still transitioning to working back in the office. So there was probably about 50% of the staff there. We were a hit with the library staff who were really fantastic. They loved everything we had to offer, and they were really good with community engagement around Plastic Free July as well. So after July, we held a plastic-free morning tea to speak to staff, particularly about their soft plastics recycling. At our community recycling centre, we recycle soft plastics just like at Woolies and Coles. So that was kind of an engagement tool there. And again, it was just an opportunity for staff to ask questions and to start conversations about plastics issues in general and to talk about how to reuse or reduce plastics in other areas of their life. So we also did have some challenges at the time because it was end of financial year. So teams that were dealing with budgeting and finances were really busy. So potentially next year, if we were to do the same offering, we could change the timing a little bit to the first couple of weeks of July. We also learned that we should have done an engagement initiative towards the end of July as well, perhaps sending out a survey or re-engaging and sending extra resources to the staff that were really interested. But we learned that a lot of people are genuinely interested in waste issues, even if kind of at first glance their role has nothing to do with waste. A lot of people were talking about these issues if they had kids at school who were bringing up environmental issues, and even in general, people were really open to listening to us and starting that conversation if they had time or weren't stuck in a meeting. Yeah, and we also realized that starting those conversations around single-use plastics, like I mentioned, it leads to a broader conversation. It leads to a lot of people thinking about these issues. And we had people following up with us as well and asking questions at the morning tea. And finally, we learnt the value of coming in with a little free giveaway. It was always helpful to get people's attention. So yeah, it was a pretty good initiative, and hopefully we can run the same thing next year. Thank you.
We're on the home stretch, and I pretty much from that got never underestimate the power of a great library officer and the power of a great morning tea, especially in local government. having worked there. Morning teas are king or queen. Our final solutions presenter today is Seb Crawford. Now, Seb hasn't had to travel very far today. He's the Sustainability and Engagement Manager for UTS. So while you're here today, you may go and visit their plastic-free food court. Will we be? Yes, excellent. I'm going to say, is it still going? Is that? Yep, excellent, great. Which Seb is going to talk about where takeaway food packaging is commercially compostable, and he's been working with the retailers there, particularly looking at packaging selection, which we know is very tricky. Seb's been working with switching to non-plastic alternatives for takeaway food, drink packaging, and looking at how they can develop better relationships and collaboration with food retailers. I'm sure we'll all agree that's not easy. And so please welcome Seb Crawford.
Thanks, Jo. Look, so many really inspiring stories today, and I can't wait to connect with all of you. But perhaps for me, the best has been Sandra's. And the reason for that is because I want to talk to you about the journey that we're on at UTS, working in partnership with our retailers. Because really, we're all in it together. We're all part of the same community. Here at UTS, we're part of the UTS community, but here in this room, of course, we're all part of a broader community. And we're all on the journey together. Maybe it's slightly different paces, and the role that we play is a little bit different, but a relationship of collaboration is vital, and it's ongoing, because we are all learning along the way. But, you know, I aspire with our retailers to get to where Sandra's at, you know, and I work with them every day to do it. So we've got about 15 retailers here at UTS. Back in 2018, we developed a plastic-free plan. And it's important because it sets it's a fairly high-level strategic document that plugs into all the other strategic documents in the organisation. And it helps to set the playing field, if you like, the framework, but also the goals that we're all working towards. 2018 was important because it fed into the construction of our new food court on campus, which opened in 2019, which has 8 retailers in it. So we've got 8 in the food court and about another half dozen or so elsewhere across campus. And in that new food court, we put into the lease clauses that they were not permitted to use single-use plastics. So it's about phasing out the high-volume single-use plastics as quickly as possible. So it's all the things we know: straws, plastic cutlery, plastic bags, plates and cups, that sort of stuff. They were all the packaging in the food court needed to be commercially compostable. Okay. Outside the food court, there's still quite a lot of single-use plastics, and we're working in a voluntary capacity with them to phase that out as quickly as possible. So interestingly, the biggest barrier that we faced in the entire journey was in fact the leasing agent to fill the new food court. They were the ones that threw their hands in the air and said, it's not possible, it can't happen. We won't be able to find you tenants who will agree to not use plastic. Luckily, they were wrong. You know, there were a few national chains that when they heard what the restrictions were, if you like, walked, but we only needed to find 8. And we had no trouble. So Cha Time is one of the bubble tea chains that you're all familiar with. Mad Mex, one of the Mexican retailers. Sushi World, you know, so some fairly well-known brands that we all know. And they came on board and said, look, you know, we suspected this, but in fact, it was very much the case. All of the retailers that we work with, they care as much about this matter as we do, sometimes more. They're literally, as we heard from Sandra, handing this stuff out, you know, in vast volumes every day. Their core business is about churning out great food or coffee or whatever, you know, not about being, you know, up to date on the latest packaging that's available. And they were really appreciative of working with us to try to help them reduce their plastic, you know, waste. And so those retailers that came on board in the plastic food court were part of that journey. But we still found that it was not a set and forget. We very much needed to work with them on the individual products that they needed. And of course, everyone was individual. Their needs were different. We had only one real problem, which was the soy sauce little fish. And we did, in the beginning, insist that they had a bottle on the counter and that, you know, it was a bottle that was refilled. But, you know, COVID taught us all that, you know, unexpected things happen along the way, and it's about working together and collaboratively to work through those issues. And so, you know, we had to relent and have an exemption back to the soy fish, and we haven't given those up. You know, so one thing we haven't. During COVID, we also had to give exemptions. A lot of the retailers, in order to survive commercially, needed to pivot to a lot of, you know, bike courier delivery food. And there was some soups and hot drinks and things where the, you know, certain lids didn't provide the seal that they required. You know, fit for purpose are the issues that we are very aware we're not experts in. It's only when we work closely and collaboratively with each and every retailer that we have our eyes opened to some of the operational concerns that they are working with on a daily basis. So yeah, working through all those issues. I've got to say, again, you know, we weren't at the beginning of the process aware that the New South Wales plastic bans were coming into effect. But, you know, again, it's about working hand in hand, going in the same direction. It's been fantastic for us because all of our food court retailers are already pretty much compliant to not just the bans that have already come into place, but the next round in November. Whereas the ones that aren't in the food court and you know, are a little bit freer with their packaging have still got a bit further to go, and they've got a bit more of a jump that they're going to have to make in November. But again, because we were already working with them to move voluntarily towards minimising their plastic, you know, we've got those relationships there, and we can show them the packaging that's already working for other retailers on campus that is compliant. So again, it's been great to be now working with the state government on introducing those bans on campus. The only other thing I'd sort of mention is that we do carry out fairly regular audits, we call them, about every 3 months. And we do those, we literally visit each individual, how am I going for time? Okay, yeah. Each individual retailer, and we go through every single item of packaging that they use. And it's not to be a policeman, but it's about recognizing that when you're implementing change, it's not set and forget. And so we're all human. We all sometimes forget. But in that process, we've also found that at the moment, a lot of them are grappling with global supply chain issues. And sometimes they can't get the packaging. So again, it's about working through those issues with them. So it's a journey that we're all on together, and we've still got a long way to go. I'll finish there.
If these are your policemen, Seb, I think you need a need to make them a little bit more scary. They look too friendly. The plastic-free ambassadors. I love it. They're way too friendly to be in enforcement, unless the EPA is looking for a game-changing kind of image for their enforcement teams. I think you'll agree we've seen some pretty inspiring solutions from a whole diversity of settings, places, scales, and also items. And I guess that was the intent of today, is to give you some inspiration wherever you are right now, whatever you're looking down the barrel of now and into the coming years. I don't think I've heard a single person say that it's easy. Did anyone? No. Excellent. Don't think anyone also said that they were finished either. So such as the